Rodney, you ready with your sister?
Dan, how are you?
Okay, the regular meeting of the Horry County Solid Waste Authority for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013 will come to order. Ask Mr. Long to lead us in our invocation and Mr. Campbell in our pledge.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing us together here safely this evening to do the work of Horry County Solid Waste Authority. We ask that the words of our lips and the meditations of our heart be pleasing to you and beneficial to the people of Horry County. Thank you for this rain, and we ask that you guide us in your work. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've been informed that we have no requests for public input as of 4:30 this evening. Are there any changes? Okay. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second that the agenda be approved. Comes the question, ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposes, like sign. The minutes of our last meeting, you should have read those by now. Are there any changes or adjustments?
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved and second that our minutes be received and adopted. All those in favor making known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes, ayes have it. No public input, departmental reports and updates, recycling and corporate affairs. Mr. Rodney Cannon.
First off, Esther wanted to apologize for not being here. She is at a conference. She'll be back probably tomorrow. Even in the meantime, I'll be doing it for her. The first one I wanted to give you was the update on the North Myrtle Beach Pilot Recycling Program. The program is going pretty good, as we stated in the last meeting. We started off with 7 customers. We've been down to 5. There was some issues with the siting of the containers where they were located at, so we had to remove 2 of them because they were having a little bit of problems. But as of right now, they're still doing good. I talked with Kevin Blayton from North Myrtle Beach about trying to get some figures to give you some kind of insight of how much weight is being done. We know they're participating on a daily basis, but just wanted to give you some better information on that. Hopefully by the next board meeting, I can have that to Esther so she can give that to you. Next one on the list was the open house we had. We had that out here on October the 11th. Pretty good showing. We had 35 people come out. When they came out, we had hot dogs, some drinks and refreshments for everyone, and then we gave them tours. We did a tour inside the building, also on the landfill between me and Kendra, Esther, and Bill. We gave them a tour of the landfill itself. Anything else they wanted to see, we showed them everything we could. Pretty good group. You could see some of the pictures that we had of the one group that happens to be with me. That's the Bucksport Community Senior Center. The van load they had, we just took their van and I took them out in that one, and that's what we did mostly, was take individuals or the groups as a whole to try to do that. The next, Esther wanted me to remind y'all, the next open house will be the spring of 2014. Also, at your place settings, you should have some publications there. One of them is the 100th anniversary of Aner. The other one is the 75th anniversary of Myrtle Beach. That's for you to look at. Also, an update on the Quad State that we went to just recently. Also, we got our annual dinner is November the 1st at Cherry Hill Missionary Baptist Church. There should be a sign-up sheet with Reverend Coakley for everyone to pass around and sign up, please. Esther wanted to remind you of that. Other than that, that was it, unless you've got any questions of me.
Any questions for Mr. Cannon?
Who were the 2 that dropped out?
Two that dropped out were the International Cafe and Pirates Cove.
Okay, and of course that was because of the location of the cans.
Yep, when we went and visited at Pirates Cove, he could not work out the container issue, putting them behind this building because that fence issue was so close, they couldn't place them there. International Cafe did kind of the similar thing. He didn't want to put his cans out there. I think International will come back on.
Yeah, but the fire inspector, somebody had
Yes.
issues with that, right?
Yes, sir.
Because he was willing to do it, but just had no place to put the cans to be picked up.
Right, if you're familiar with his layout, it is
Yeah.
real tough for him.
Right, okay.
Can you replace the ones that you lost with others?
We can, if we, go out and try to, there was a couple of other businesses we had talked to. It's just trying to get them on, and it's after the season now, so we can talk to them a little bit more and go over the program. And plus, we got a little history and show them a little bit, that they can watch what the other customers were doing.
Right. Flynn's is one that we probably could go talk to, and Deckers. If
Right.
We go back and talk to Deckers again, because they did, ownership had just changed
Right.
hands, and
And I think he was opening up one of those stores that ever did get on, we thought was gonna get on was Flounders over at, Cherry Grove side.
and it has opened up, and I think they are active now. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Hilling?
Good evening.
Hello.
Want to give you some updates on our quarterly projects. First thing was, may need a little help on that over there at the control panel. While she's finding that, anyway, our Highway 90 pickup for the first quarter, we picked up 90 bags of waste out there. That's July through September, almost 1,400 pounds of waste just on Highway 90. Of course, it was mowed each month. We continue to do that through the year, keep the litter picked up. We did mow today. That may be our last time as far as for this year as far as mowing, but we'll continue our monthly pickup on the litter that we had out there. Our landfill inspection, we had some pretty decent weather. Everybody knows it's been fairly dry over the last 30 days or so. So our September inspection, we got all ones. Landfill was in really good shape when they came out. And so we were glad to get back on track there. We had that 40 inches of rain those 4 months, and it made it tough going out there, tough sledding. But, came in, we had a little bit of cooperative weather, so we got all ones on our September inspection. As far as safety for the first quarter, we had one workman's comp. It had 5 restricted days, but 0 lost days work time out there. So we just had our October safety meeting. We had to do a new, the MSDS or HAS communication has changed. It's now a globalization type program. So we've had to train all our staff out there on new MSDS sheets, working with the chemicals or whatever they may see out there. And during the meeting, we had the state auditor come in, state risk manager, pardon me, from Association of Counties came in, observed our safety meeting, and did a facility inspection. And when he went around, he just noticed some little minor things out there operationally. There was nothing to be concerned on. So stuff we can tie up, there was like a piece of chair that was no good or something like that. So it's very minor. Thought we were in very good shape, and was glad to sit in on the meeting, and was very favorable to the staff out there, telling them how good that we had done in Charleston. We were kind of the leaders for the Association of Counties Risk Management Group out there. So that made the guys feel good hearing that somebody besides, the same supervisors here. But he was in and thought the place was in really good shape, so we were glad to hear that.
Bill, who did your MSDS training?
I did.
You did it in-house?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Gotten
the
real
net had sat,
tough on that.
the net had sat through a program, and it was like, I guess, 50 slides on a PowerPoint, and then she gave it to me and just went through it and, do what you got to do. So John from Association of Counties thought it was, he said it was delivered well out there.
Good.
So he was pleased with it. So,
Thank you.
Anyway, our driver of the month for September was Kevin Jenkins, City of Myrtle Beach. You'll see his picture in there, and again, the letter was sent to City of Myrtle Beach, and also his picture was sent down there, and we also posted out there at our scale house each month. So he was a very worthwhile winner out there. Our last thing, and I've got a few pictures on it here, is the closure of the Saddle area and Access Road update. The first week of the month, they did complete the first 6-inch clay infiltration layer out there. You can see them working on that there. The second week of October, we did have the rain, which they didn't work. Last week and this week, they've been pushing. They're working on now on the third 6-inch layer out there. So if the weather cooperates, feel like everything, the clay will all be done by the end of next week. All the compaction tests for the clay infiltration have been very good. No problems there. So we're moving right along. I don't know, Cecil, are you moving that? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'll let you do that, but you can see the work out there. They've got, I think it's called a sheep foot roller to, thank you, Mr. Campbell, to roll it out, and then they come across with a vibratory roller to really compact it in there. And hit the next one there. I've got a couple other slides where you can see I got way up high and took kind of a panorama shot. You can see the clay in there. A couple more. You can see up there, that's on top of the C&D hill where we're still filling right now. Just looking down on it, you can see it's about a 5-acre area that we're filling in. And I took that one last week. Go ahead and hit one more. And this is taken from the West Hill, the hill that's finished out. We're no longer, we just monitor it for gas and mow out there. So took it out there. That kind of gives you a couple looks at how big the area is and what they're doing out there. So project is moving along good. They did start working on the drain out there between the C&D and the solid waste hill. Started working on that. That should be completed this week. But hopefully by next Friday, the fourth layer will be completed. And then they're going to start working on the access road out there. And one final thing, this Thursday at 11 a.m., we've got our mandatory pre-bid for the relocation of the grinding area. You know where we're located now. We do all our grinding. We're going to be moving it back to Track D. That, excuse me, that will be 11 a.m. right here on Thursday morning. And then the official bid opening will be Wednesday, November the 6th. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon right here also. So just want to make sure you had those dates if you'd like to be here for that.
What's your estimate for that work, estimated cost?
It's about $650,000.
What's his completion date, Mr. Hill?
On which one?
On the wine here.
On that, they had 180 days. We're just about through 60 days, so they got 120 left. I think they're going to be done in really good time out there.
That's good. Great.
I would estimate maybe if everything goes good about 30 days, weather permitting, 30 days ahead of schedule.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Hilling?
I have one. Y'all do really good with getting ones on everything in there, but since we know that rain causes a problem,
Speak in your mic, please, Pam.
is there anything new that you know of that you might need to help you with that to plan for a rainy season that we're not doing? I know they have to do things all the time, and I'm not really aware.
Well, if we get like a half an inch of rain out there and it's kind of steady, that's not a real problem. We can handle that. We can handle that pretty much daily. But it's when you get that inch and a half in like an hour, just that toad strangler, and it just washes things. That's where we have, the problem, and you just have to go back and do it. It's hard to really prevent something like that. But again, normal steady rain, it just comes down slow like that. I mean, we could take on probably an inch and we're still good. But that what we had this summer, it was tough on everybody.
Thank you.
But we try to stay ahead of it. We know the rain's coming forecast. If we can build some extra berms out there and some of our slopes, maybe to get it wash off, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Crump?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Everybody should have had two extra sheets at their place when they came in. Those were inadvertently left out of the package. So we're going to start with those sheets. We're going to start with page 17A. And the first thing we're going to talk about is a quarterly transfer request. As you know, we have a resolution in place that we will maintain 15% of our estimated revenues in our cash account, and any cash over and above that we have in the cash account that we look at quarterly and we transfer to our designated accounts for our capital expenditures and infrastructure and so forth. This quarter, we'll be adjusting for year end because we've completed the audit and we always do a true up to actual. So the first, on 17A, the first transfer that I have is to true up through June 30th, and it's a transfer of $24,800. So it's just a little bit there that, in addition to what we already transferred last year. And we're recommending that we transfer to the piggyback expansion construction. And I will need a motion on that. I do have a second one if you want to, you put them in the same motion or you want to do
Get the
separate?
second one first, then we'll decide.
Okay. All right. The second transfer request that I have is for the first quarter of fiscal year 2014. To our new threshold for the 15% estimate is 2.9 million. And so after the first quarter, we find ourselves with $330,000 to transfer. We're recommending that we transfer that to, first of all, let me take the second one first, $175,000 to our OPEB obligation. That is other post-employment benefits. And if you remember, that went into effect in 2008. And in 2012, we started funding it annually, but we're playing catch up with the 4 years prior to that. So usually the first quarter, if we have any money, we try to put that in then. So we're recommending $175,000 to be transferred into that account. That'll put us through 3 years. We have 2 more years and we'll be caught up completely with that. The second part is to transfer $155,213 to the piggyback construction. And that will put us in compliance with our resolution that we have. Any questions on those?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we follow staff's recommendation on the 2 transfers of funds.
Second.
Properly moved in second that we accept staff's recommendation and transfer the funds according. Any questions? All in favor, make known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Ayes have it, so ordered.
Thank you. Okay, the financial reports start on page 18, and I just want to touch on a few things, highlight a few things. Through the
Excuse me, what page did you say it started on?
18, through the first quarter of the year, tipping fees are, year-to-date are at 1.7% increase. And that's made up of solid waste being at 32% of budget, mixed construction being right on the mark at 25%, and yard waste running a little bit behind at 22%. In the recyclable sales area, the MRF's recyclable revenues right now is $557,000 versus about $612 last year this time. So we're seeing a slight decrease of about 9% there. But we will, and we are for the very first time in a very long time, right on budget, right on target with the landfill gas. We're at 25% of budget. So that makes me feel good because we've been under for a long time. If you look over on page 20, the income statement, you'll see that in the month of September, we had net income of $162,000. That gives us a year-to-date figure of $657,000. This is very typical of the first quarter of the year. And last year, we started out this way, and then it kind of trickled down the rest of the year. So you'll see That is comprised of, on page 21, the first subtotal that you have, the revenue report shows you that revenues are at 28% of budget. So they're about 3% over where you would expect them to be about now. And on page 22 are the expenses, and you'll see that they're at about 23%. So we're maintaining that 5% spread between revenues and expenses, which is where we would like to stay, especially not knowing what we're facing with the end of the year and all. So, on page 25 is a report on the C&D facility. And through the first 3 months of the year, we have taken in over there about 3,300 tons, which is about 15% of the C&D that's come in. We're maintaining a 63% recovery with that C&D. The biggest product being clean wood, which is a little bit over 50% of what we're recycling over there, and the second one being dirt that we're pulling out, which is about 22%. So, and that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Did I understand you to say that of the C&D trucks that come through here, about 16% are sent over to the factory, so to speak?
About 15%.
Thank you.
And
And I guess Mike, I know he's not here, would give the percentage of recovery that we get
Well,
from that.
our recovery rate here is 63%. Which is about what it's been running almost since we opened the facility over there. So,
It'd be higher if we put concrete in there.
yes, sir. But we don't actually send concrete over there. If we get a load of just concrete, it goes straight up to the concrete pile. It doesn't go through over there. So the weight's not in there at all. The only concrete that we would be pulling out is something that's in a mixed load that comes over there.
We do it similar to North Carolina. They just don't,
Speak in your mic, Dan.
sorry. We do it similar to other states like North Carolina, where concrete is so heavy, it's easy to make the number, or not easy, but the numbers fluctuate and sometimes give an artificial read.
Exactly.
If you leave concrete separate, then you actually get a better picture of what you're actually recovering. So, about 15 or 16% of the trucks that come through here go through the factory, and of that, about 65%, not to include concrete, is actually recycled.
Right. And we have a lower tipping fee if it's just concrete. So it really pays them to have the concrete separate to come in.
You have a lower tipping fee if it's concrete?
If it's just concrete.
What is the tipping?
I knew you were going to ask me that. $10, I think. Is that right? Okay, $10. Versus the $21.50 or $26.50 with the $5 discount or incentive.
Well, I think that's a wise policy, to try to get people to bring that concrete over here, because we can make good use of it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crump. Okay. Mr. Knight will give us on the government affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike Besant is not here. He's in Columbia, so he's Mr. Mike Besant when he's in Columbia. We'll talk about the C&D recycling on page 35. Lee disposal. As you will see at the bottom of the page, they've had a reduction in tipping fees of $826 based on the tonnage they brought. And then over on page 36, you'll see their recycling tonnage percentage is about 64.59%. And I guess year-to-date is the $3,221 total incentive for year-to-date. Page 37 is Easy Dump, and, they're not doing as well. They have not, had a reduction in their tipping fees, but they are bringing some stuff to the C&D. They're getting that incentive at the C&D factory, so they are still participating in an incentive program. And it's really gonna be hard for them to average out their percentage at the end of the year, so we're watching that pretty close with them. Page 39 is a list of the incentive programs that we have. Municipal solid waste recycling incentive. As you can see, to date, we have issued about $69,750. And that broken down, waste industries is the highest. City of Myrtle Beach has got about $9,700 to date. City of North Myrtle Beach, $6,700. City of Conway, $5,700. And Surfside, $2,500. So GG&G, $16.35. They try they really try hard. So that incentive seems to be working well. The C&D recycling incentive, what we coined the phrase, the factory, we've issued about $16,669 in that. And really the high user there is Sandland C&D. Lead disposal is next. Trevor, Easy Dump. In waste management, that runs the high five. It runs from 2,400 down to 1,300. So a lot of folks are taking advantage of that.
That sheet that listed the cities, was that in the handout?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm just making that. Would you like one?
Yes, sir. I don't need this minute, but
Okay.
I think that's good.
So year-to-date, all the incentive programs is $89,641. And these incentives, and we don't count up the $10 for concrete versus the $26 or shingle reduction or clean wood reduction. That's just kind of the incentives that we have put together for this report.
I think that's an important number, and I know you can't annualize it easily necessarily by just multiplying it times 4, but off the top of your head, if you did that, that'd be roughly $320,000 in cost reduction to our customers, or at least some of our customers.
Yeah.
Is that consistent with last year, or?
I don't know what last year. I don't know what last year
It'd
was.
be closer to 360,000.
Say again?
It'd be closer to 360,000 versus 320,000. If you're looking at
If it was
based on 89.
90,000, it'd be
This is almost 90,000. So you're looking at 360,000 versus 320,000.
Oh, I did my math wrong. But I think that's an important number to ballyhoo, so to speak, that we not only have low rates at the gate, generally speaking, compared to similar facilities, but with these various programs, at least some of our customers save or get an even greater reduction in their cost of disposal.
Yeah, I just hope some of them are passing it on to their customers.
I know you have faith in the other governmental entities,
Oh, I do.
and they support you just as well.
Yeah, I do. And thank you for noting that. Page 40 is a brochure that the Sierra Club has put together, and it's talking about the flow control, and it's kind of hand in hand with Don't Dump on South Carolina flow control battle that a lot of people are involved in, including the Association of Counties. So we just wanted to put that in there.
How is that distributed then?
I think the one with the Association of Counties, these were just handouts at the Sierra Club meeting.
Okay.
The other ones, they got websites and they're trying to get around, do a lot of presentations in different areas, and bumper stickers and stuff like that, so.
One way is join all those, Danny sometimes affectionately refers to them as the Bugs and Bunny crowd. So what I did is I just joined all of them, just send them $50 to $100, and
Get everything.
They'll cover you up with stuff like this. It's like joining Reverend Coakley's church. I mean, he's evangelizing me every day.
AARP's the one that's wearing me out.
Do we need it, Mr. Gray?
And ARP, I want you to give to that group. That's a good group.
But I need evangelization, yes, sir.
The League of Women Voters has made that a priority too, Dan, in case you want to join.
I'm already a member.
Okay.
I join all those Bugs and Bunny
You
crowds.
should be getting theirs too.
I do. Thank you for reminding me.
Okay, back to Executive
Okay.
Director report.
Let you know what's going on with the Sandland lawsuit. We'll be in Richmond next Wednesday and Thursday. Emma Ruth and her group will be arguing that appeals in federal appeals court. And we're hoping that probably 45, 60 days, we may have a ruling on it. And I think once we get that ruling, I think the C&D issue will be back up. I think the county has taken the position they're going to hold off on not going to do anything till we get the ruling, because they can't take any new stuff in the appeals. But if the appeals is against us, then it goes back to Florence. And then all kind of new stuff can be brought up, anything that we're doing, said. And so, but once we get that ruling, I feel sure that we're going to be back discussing the C&D with the county, and we'll just see what happens there. The Repower South, a couple of weeks ago, we traveled to Waldoboro, and you have a brochure in front of you that says everything about this company. And I actually kind of coined this situation that it's a magic box with possibilities. You know, we've always said these things were magic box. You put garbage in one end, and money flies out the other end. But this one has got possibilities for the simple reason EPA has established that what they're making is a biofuel and it's not garbage. So these plants can burn this stuff without changing their permits. And that's the biggest thing going. South Carolina Electric Gas is involved. They had a test burn at Waldoboro, and we were there. We saw it working, and the material looks kind of like oatmeal, and there's a lot of possibilities. We have a meeting with them Monday with some of their group at 12:30 here. We've noticed that to everyone, and we're going to find out more how our program works with their program, and what how maybe our MRF will dovetail into their programs. You will still have to have a landfill. They don't take C&D, and they don't take yard waste, but they kind of guarantee 70% material will be fixed or recycled. So there's some possibilities, and we look forward to sitting down and talking to them. But like I say, the test there, actually, they were burning it with coal, and it actually had reduced the emissions that was coming out of the stack at that time. So, and I think that's what's got the electric companies somewhat excited about this thing. And if they're excited, then we should be benefit from it. We will know more about it. We welcome any of you to come and listen. Another thing I would like to kind of bring up is let Emma Ruth bring us up to speed on where we are with IRS. Our request that we got in front of IRS, and it won't take but a minute, and then we will know what we're waiting on from that group.
I'm just going to give a very brief kind of status to let you know where it is. On August 30th, Frank Curitan with Hainsworth, Sinkler, Boyd sent in a request for a classification whereby the authority would be able to maintain an exemption from filing a Form 990, an informational return. The tax exempt status as a 501c3 has not changed. A change of the law did change the requirement and the exemption on the Form 990. There are two possible categories that the authority could fit in to maintain exemption from Form 990. We chose the cheapest one possible, which costs $400 as opposed to the $18,000 version.
Good choice.
But because of that, we are hoping to have an answer by the end of the year based on Mr. Curitan's experience. He has received one determination recently that was filed a little bit before ours, and he feels like the shutdown probably has delayed receipt of our determination. But he thinks it's reasonable to expect we'd have it by year end. We'd be able to make sure that the changes we made to the bylaws relating to dissolution fit in with the class of the determination, and would revisit that hopefully at the January meeting to give you a status report, and we're set to have that done.
Now, this $18,000 doesn't guarantee you nothing. You send them a check and ask them the question. Now, the $400 check, we can send and ask them the question, and we think that we're pretty favorable in getting that response. But that was a pretty high dollar question asking, in my opinion. So we hope to do that. And Emma Ruth said, once we get the final thing from the federal court, then we will pick these bylaws back up and hopefully get them back in front of this board probably January, depending on what's happened and what's taken place. But there's a lot of things we don't control in these type discussions. So hopefully January we'll have a lot of answers and we'll know where we're going.
Okay.
All I have.
Committee reports. Finance Administration Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Administration Committee did meet on Friday, October the 18th at 9 a.m. We heard a presentation of the fiscal year 2013 annual financial audit from Mr. David DeCleva of Smith Sapp Bookout, Crumpler, and Callahan. And Mr. DeCleva's here. I'd like for him to come up and just give us a brief overview, some of the highlights that we got on the committee meeting as well. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. As you said, I've previously met with the Finance Committee, and I reviewed the results of our audit and went through the financial statements in depth. I would like to reiterate that the authority does remain in very good fiscal shape. I'm also pleased to report that our audit did not disclose any findings that warranted the issuance of a management letter this year. I'm basically here this evening to address any questions that any of the board members may have about the audit or about the financial statements themselves.
Any questions from the board for Mr. DeClever?
Mr. Chairman, there being none, I would like to make the motion that we accept the audit from the Smith Sapp, Lookout, Crumpler, Callahan.
That motion.
Sir?
Make the motion.
I second.
Been probably moved in second that we accept the recommendation, that we accept the audit come from the Finance Administration Committee. All those in favor make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you very much, Mr. DeClever, for your briefing both in the committee and in this board. Thank you very much. I'd like this time to recognize the presence of our representative, Mike Ryo, from District 56. Thank you very much for being here today. Any old business that we did not cover? I think we've gotten most of it.
Let me say one thing too that I forgot to say. In the Finance Committee, we were asked if in fact C&D went away. Were we looking ahead? And I think so. We've looked ahead in the budget and we talked about what we were going to do and what we're doing presently. It's like we bid a bulldozer. And we are holding that bid, we're holding that up to see what happens. We're not filling positions. We're holding those to make sure, and we've got a couple of high positions of, Joe Hyman left, that position's open, a lot of people's applied for it. We just don't think that we need to fill it and then have to cut the position and somebody be giving up a job to take one, and we're just holding it, and we're watching expenses, and just like Donna said tonight, we're 25% through the budget, and we got about a 5% range between income and expenses, and we're watching those. So we got to be watching it now, because if we lose this material and this money in the last half of the last quarter, it's going to be hard to make it up in that short time. So we're watching, and we're doing everything we can do to make sure we end up in the black.
Okay. New business, roundtable discussion. Anything from the board as a?
I'd like to compliment Mr. Knight, because now that we are where we are and some 20-some years of being in existence and having started the piggyback construction and how hard that was to get accomplished and so forth, we can, unfortunately, most of us won't be here, including me, but we can see the end of the road. And the end of the road is that we run out of capacity as we know ourselves today. But these types of things like repower, it's like, Danny, you're very good at putting things in common terms. You said these people show up with these silver briefcases, and every one of them got a banker and a lawyer and an engineer, and you put garbage in and money comes out. I mean, but this hopefully will not be that. You were kind enough to let me accompany the group that went down to look at that power plant that they're closing down. And you're right, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. And we've got synergy going on here. The power plants, like Granger, under extreme pressure reduce their emissions and their pollutants. And we, companies like us, are under pressure to deal with capacity and hopefully do it with recycling as opposed to just burying it in a hole. I think that there's nothing like having a vision to that's exciting. And if Repower doesn't do it for us, I know you will, and Dr. Coakley and our future leaders will move us in the direction. And that is our next major assignment is what do we do in the way of legacy that we've got a place for people to dispose of their trash, and we got them covered. And we're moving in that direction, and I salute you for going that way.
Well, we appreciate that, and I think the board, a couple of years ago, looking at the diversion money that we're putting aside, a quarter every ton that goes across, we putting in a fund. We got over $600,000 in that thing now that we can utilize. If in fact we like this thing, we can actually buy kind of an outside guru to come in and look at theirs, look at what we do, and give us an outside unbiased position on it. And we got the funds to do that. And we've been looking. We've traveled to 4 different states, and we went to Waldoboro, and like I said, it's almost a state in itself. But we have been looking, and we'll continue to look. And what hampers most of the silver briefcases when they come down 90, they look at the plan, they got a good program, and when they say, and your tipping fee could, at $60 will pay for this. We say our tipping fee's $29. They start closing their book up and say they can't make their business plan work at $29. So it is cheap, and people get a lot bang for their buck on it, and we're proud of that. There's been a lot of stepping stones up to this point. I can't take credit for that. There's a lot of people. We just hope we leave some when we leave for the future. So we'll look Monday, and we'll pick them apart.
Okay, let me bring just one thing to your attention we need to be aware of, and Ruth's going to give us some of the legal ramifications on it. I strongly suggest that we make use of the Horry County Solid Waste Authority emails rather than utilizing your personal emails. If at any time there's an issue or conflict issue or legal issue with your email, and there's a need to look at emails, then all of your personal emails become open. And so the authority gave you emails when you joined the board. I suggest you use those emails rather than using your personal ones or those addresses. And Ruth is going to talk to us about that.
Unfortunately, in this day and age of litigation, document retrieval and production has become an extremely big part of any lawsuit. And digital data is like a whole new area of their lawyers who specialize just in writing document requests. And there are big law firms that have departments that are just digital data departments where they figure out what kind of discovery requests to ask to obtain information such as emails that may relate to a lawsuit or other documents that relate to a lawsuit. When there is a lawsuit now, it is common to see the attorney handling the case issue what's called a document hold letter, meaning that any document that is or could possibly be related to the lawsuit must be maintained, cannot be destroyed, and federal courts become very upset if you're in federal court and a document's been destroyed, and I'm sure the state courts will probably follow suit if it's relevant to the case, because that would be destruction of evidence. If you keep your authority-related emails separate from your personal emails, then, you know, you don't run the risk of having to have your personal email database scrutinized or subjected to data queries. There's some areas of the law where I've had the experience of the other side insisting that the actual computer itself be turned over so that data analysts could look at it, and they can go back into that hard drive and retrieve data like you would not believe. I've seen it done in a couple of cases. So if you keep the two separate, and there is litigation, and there's a cause of action where, for some reason, they have reason to believe that board members have information on their computers that is relevant to the case, that information is subject to disclosure. If they feel like it's, and you may be asked, in a deposition or in a discovery request, do board members ever use personal PCs or personal iPads, whatever, to keep documents, receive documents, or send documents related to the business of the authority that's the subject of the lawsuit. So, you know, I think our part of the country's probably been a little bit slower, but it is here now. We're seeing more of it in terms of the document discovery responses that we have to do. And I'd like to add something else on that, too. Of course, any communications with legal counsel, you should always label confidential, protected by attorney-client privilege when you're dealing with matters involving litigation or that could involve litigation. Another thing I see is that when you're writing an email, and it's should be any time, but especially when it's related to a business matter, always make sure that it's something you would not be embarrassed to have read aloud to, say, your mother or your Sunday school class, because so often, someone will say, I really didn't think this would be read in open court when I wrote this email or this letter. The letter, it's easy to let it sit on a desk and come back to it. An email, there's that impulse to hit that send button right then. It'd be better to save it if it's controversial or, you know, you're irritated about something, and then go back and look at it. I know I do that if something happens with the other side in litigation and they've made me kind of mad about something, I'll write the first draft and just put it down for a while and then come back and refine it a little bit. But everybody has a paper trail or digital data trail now, and you need to just be aware of the possibility of, you know, all of this becoming an issue, and it would just be simpler to stick with the business addresses and your business iPads for authority business. FOIA is another issue too. You know, there is that whole issue of what is subject to public disclosure under FOIA, and again, these digital documents, you know, is another example of under FOIA of a source of having to produce documents.
So it'd be your recommendation not to have the authorities' emails even forwarded to our personal emails, keep them totally separate?
I would recommend the simplest thing is to keep them totally separate.
I don't know if I'm getting authority emails through my authority email address right now. Maybe I need to.
Probably on your iPad. You need to check that out, and maybe we need to set up a session where we can actually make certain we go through that. And the reason I bring it to your attention is I serve on the board in Nashville, and that's one of the subjects that we're dealing with now because of a lawsuit that we have with that board.
Well, I'd like to respond. I fully accept what you're saying, and I know that Saturday afternoon I felt led of the Lord. That's the way Baptists talk sometime when you want to hide behind God. And you called me. I said,
God works in strange ways.
you told me that your knees was hurting because you've been working in your garden. And I knew that to be true because it means you had Hardy's house is hiding your house in the shade. And, anyhow, I said, as a result of that, I put it aside. And then we talked some more on Monday, yesterday. And I just said, well, there ain't no need to do that. And, I can say that, I know I'm on the, somebody told me the other day, said, I know I'm in the last quarter. Well, I know I'm in the last quarter, but, I doubt that I'll, like everybody else here, will escape, getting what do you call it, when a lawyer says, give me all your information, discovery.
Subpoena, like discovery subpoena.
In fact, I have gotten discovery requests from that Charleston lawyer, what's his name?
Stan Barnett.
Stan Barnett, before. And they can ask you anything. I mean, don't necessarily have anything at all to do with the matter at hand. So, but I would just say this. I think it's important for us to be as open and transparent and communicative as possible. And I think we need to take into account these experiences that we all have learned. I know of nightmare stories, and you and Dr. Coakley, but at the same time, we need to talk to each other. And email is a wondrous thing, and it's also a horrendous thing. We need to be careful how we use it, but I don't think we necessarily have to go back to either not talking at all or talking in ways that would be less than taking care of our public duties. Thank you for bringing it up, Mr. Dr. Coakley.
Is there any need for executive session? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, meeting's adjourned.
Is there anything back there to eat?